So that's, again, like a lot of money, and that required a lot of work because it's not just going to the bank and say, hey, I have this idea, please give me a loan. I've tried though, they say no, because you never know. But yeah, I've had to literally reach out to like at least 300 like investors on LinkedIn and just cold email them and really pitch like strangers and try to convince them that they needed to back my idea.
This is Let's Get Ugly, where no topic is off limits. We're Trish and Disha, two sisters, beauty and fashion experts and entrepreneurs.
And we're talking to creatives, experts, and people we admire about the ideas, experiences, and conversations shaping culture and them right now.
Julia, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are very happy and excited to have you here just to talk about the incredible journey that you've gone on to build Elevate.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on the podcast.
It's been so interesting to see your journey transition from finance to wellness. And I feel like the audience you've built is so incredible as well, and the kind of people that you must see on a daily basis. So I guess that's where we kind of wanted to start. How did your job in finance prepare you to run a wellness business?
So I think that, it's true that we could think that, finance and wellness are not like related. But I would say that working in finance and especially in private equity on the investment side teaches you like amazing basics when it comes to like business in general. It teaches you like discipline. And I think I got like a good understanding of like what it takes to, have like a successful business, or at least like try to get there in terms of like metrics and what we should look at. And it also like taught me that cash is king. So it's really important to be disciplined with money, the way we invest it, and looking at any kind of like marketing expense from like a return on investment with a return on investment lens. So yeah, I think that was like a great school.
Yeah, it definitely is. Return on investment is so interesting, and I feel like a lot of creatives overlook that. Can you give me a little insight into like what's maybe a small example of like an ROI that you would look at within Elevate?
So I think every time we're spending money on something, would it be, like marketing? And again, like marketing is a bit more nuanced, I would say, because it's really important. Something I've learned as well, really important to invest in like PR to, build your brand image and get amazing press coverage, but it's not something that you can measure directly. It's much more like intangible. So it's really hard to say, oh yeah, I've invested that much with a PR agency, and then, how do you measure like people coming in? I think that for me, I know it's been successful, like because I've got so many like amazing like opportunities coming from like press coverage, people saying, oh, I've read the article about Elevate. So I would say that on the creative side, it's a bit more measured, but when it comes to, anything that is very much more like concrete, like equipment, like you need to make sure that everything you're buying is actually gonna, make the product better, make the experience better. And this is something, that would translate in return on investment because your customer will come more often. So you will then, get more money. So it's something that is, I would say, really easy to measure when it comes to very concrete things. But for the creative side, a bit more different. We don't do any online marketing. So again, we don't really spend on advertising either.
Interesting.
It's interesting. I mean, finance is something that I like honestly do not fully understand. Thank God I have you because I don't know what I would do. Also because I never studied it, to be fair. But I just think like when you're building a business and you're looking at all of those numbers, like it can feel so daunting for like more creative people, I find, me especially. So I think it's like you explained it in a way where I was like, oh, this doesn't seem so scary to me, Because everything always does.
I would say that the trick, and especially when it's your business, you're able to put a reality behind each number. So it's not just like this huge P&L with like hundreds of different numbers and you're like, oh, what does it mean? Is that because I'm so implicated and involved in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Every number I see, I know exactly like, oh, okay, this is the expense for this thing that we printed for this event, or this is the purchase we've done. Like if we needed another blender, these are the sales that we've done at the store, and this month it was up. So for me, it's like really easy to kind of like put a reality behind the number. And I guess it's also easier when it's your business and you're really involved in it.
Yeah, because you really do, I think, know exactly where that money came from and what impacted what. And so it's interesting to see as well that you're so involved in kind of the day to day. You mentioned literally you are involved in every element of the day to day. So tell us what a day looks like for you.
And I also want to preface this by saying that it's something I want to delegate more and be less involved in the day-to-day. I think, for every entrepreneur, especially when you launch a business, it's true. Like at the beginning, you have to know everything and be everywhere. And, the business depends on you. But as we grow, I'm really trying to delegate more, especially, and I've started to do it. Especially with the store, for example. Now, they don't need me to run the store, and because I've like an amazing team, they're doing great. And, if I go behind the counter, they would be more like, oh, leave us alone. Like you're slowing us down. But yeah, I think it's really important to delegate. When it comes to my day-to-day, I would say that I wake up quite early, usually start my day with a nice breakfast. So I would do either like a protein shake or like Greek yogurt and, some fruits. And then I do Pilates at home. I think it's really easy to squeeze like 20, 30 minutes every day. And it helps being like consistent because otherwise I don't have time for like a full session. Then I always love to start my day, I would say, planning the day out with like a pen and paper. I use the productivity method like planner, and I love that because then I can like really plan my day, and then I just go on with my day. I would say no 2 days like look the same. It's very varied. It can be like meetings, calls, going to the store, working on like a new recipe, new partnership, looking at like new location, hiring people, doing some finance, accounting, you name it. I wear literally every hat. So yeah.
Yeah, it's admirable as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that people often glamorize it a lot in terms of like being a founder means that like, okay, fine, I can just hire everyone straight away and I can take like a back seat and then, everything will be done for me. But clearly we all know that is not the reality of it all.
No, and I wish it was the case, like, to be able to hire amazing people that are more capable than me in like every single field, like in like operations, marketing, like, the company would like thrive if that was the case. But it's true that, we also like just launched 9 months ago. So we have some cash limitation and, I wish I could like have some money to hire senior people to run the business.
Well, hopefully one day soon. What about your journey to the business? You've mentioned quite a lot previously burnout.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your burnout experience working in finance and how that eventually led you to Elevate.
So it's something that happened to me in a sense that I was constantly working. I had like no holidays, no weekend, like always also like carrying around like my laptop, my two phones, like, so I was in a constant like stress mode. And it's not something where you wake up one day and you're like, oh yeah, I'm burnt out. It's more where you realize at some point that you're constantly like tired and feel like constantly burnt out. I ended up, because I was not like taking care of myself, having some health issues, and the doctor was like, okay, you either need to take a break from work or you need to, actually take care of yourself. And, that implies very basic things that I was not doing, meaning like not skipping meals, eating breakfast, exercising, sleeping. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds like something that I could do. Because for me, like taking a break from work was like not an option because I was like really a high achiever. And I was like, no, I can't let it go. So it's when I started to look more into like wellness, nutrition, movement as a form of like self-care as well. And every time I was going out of the Pilates studio in the morning, going to the office, I was thinking, okay, right now I would love to have like a nice smoothie or a nice protein shake. And I couldn't find anything like that in London. Like all the options that I had were not, I would say, the one that I was looking for as a customer. So yeah, just very selfish move. I just decided to create it.
Wow. I think that you've done an amazing job at that. When it comes to finances, though, again, I feel like we keep banging on about this, but it is so important.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
live lesson for me.
So people talk about starting a business really casually, don't they? Like, oh, I'll just start a business, or I've just started a business. I mean, it's all over online. And if I go to social media, I'm overwhelmed by it. How tough was it financially to start this business?
So it was really tough in the sense that, you know, as you said, a lot of people are glamorizing it, or, you know, they make it like seem easy online. But it was really tough in the sense that, you know, first of all, like I went from like a 6-figure salary to nothing, which is a bit of like an adjustment in terms of like lifestyle, like going out with friends, and especially when all of your friends are still making this same type of money and you're like, wait guys, I actually need to save some money because now, you know, I'm living off like the bonuses and like the money that I've made before, and this is going to be my lifeline for I don't know how long. So it was, I think, like socially speaking, like something a bit difficult to stop, like, you know, also like traveling, everything like changes and every expense become like very considered. I was lucky enough, of course, that, you know, I worked and was able to save some money to start a business because some people are not like, you know, don't have this chance. So that's something that really helped. And I don't think I would have been able to do without that. But this being said, opening a business, especially like a physical one, cost a lot of money. So I had to raise like £400,000 to be able to take the business off the ground. So that's, again, like a lot of money, and that required a lot of work because it's not just going to the bank and say, hey, I have this idea, please give me a loan. I've tried though, they say no, because you never know. But yeah, I've had to literally reach out to like at least 300 like investors on LinkedIn and just cold email them and really pitch like strangers and try to convince them that they needed to back my idea.
What was that process like? 300 people and emailing them is a job in itself, honestly.
Yeah, and it was before, you know, ChatGPT was like such a thing because it was like in 2024. So I think the level of like, we tend to forget like how good it became.
Yeah.
But, and especially also I think that what also helped me like convert those people into investors is that I really spend the time trying to understand like their interests, the sectors where they invest, and really coming to them saying, hey, you've invested in this, so I think that's why Elevate is like relevant to you. But it was also a very tough process because you start literally from scratch, and people love to ask, oh, so how much money do you have like committed? And, you know, when you just like, oh yeah, I have like £10,000 or I'm just getting started, there is somehow they could love the idea, but it makes it even more difficult to convince investors because I think there's always some sort of like herd mentality when it comes to an investment. And at the end of the funding round, it was actually easier to get some money. And I even had to decline some because we raised like the amount that I wanted and even more. But yeah, it was definitely a tough process, full of like rejection and doubts.
Of course. I think one thing that people often get confused about when, you know, businesses get investment, they're like, oh, so this person has all this money in their pocket now and they become like, you know, a millionaire overnight or whatever it might be. And obviously that's not the case when it comes to that, for sure, because obviously you're putting it into the business. But I also feel like people just get confused about like profits, sales, all that kind of stuff. How would you debunk that for everybody?
Yeah. So first, first myths to debunk in terms of like, as you said, like when you raise money, like it's not money that went to my, you know, in my pocket, in the sense I'm still paying myself 12K a year. I'm like trying to survive, like especially in London. Hopefully that will change soon. But it's true that especially when it's your business, I really want like the business to thrive, and every pound we make, I'm like, I want to reinvest this into the growth of the business, make the product better, make the experience better for the customer, find a new location. So I think that's really important to highlight that there's a big difference between sales and profit. And if we go, I would say like line by line, like the sales is the money that you get from the customers. So when you go somewhere and you pay, let's say £10, like this goes into the business, but then you need to remove like 20% of that goes to VAT. So that's already a lot when you think about it. So that lives in like taxes. Then you need to remove like the cost of the products. And again, like some people don't realize, I think, especially when you're looking at the more premium market, that ingredients are also by definition more premium. So it's quite costly to do. I mean, especially for us, given we use like things like collagen blend with like hyaluronic acid, biotin, a lot of like different supplements, like grass-fed protein. Like when you go for like the quality, it's also like quite expensive, but that's again like a good investment in terms of like return on investment, because customer come back because they can really make the difference. But then you need to also think about like the rent that you need to pay, the staff cost, which is a very high cost as well, plus everything else. So that could be, your kind of like internet, electricity charge, water, any fees that you pay to potential like consultant, PR, the chef we use for the recipes, so packaging, you name it. So I think people in general like maybe don't realize like the amount of costs that are behind the business, which is good in a way, meaning that it looks seamless then, but it's these are very two different things in terms of like sales versus profit.
I'm sure you have an amazing relationship with your investors, but what is that relationship like today?
So I think it also depends like on the investors. Like some of them are much more, I would say, hands-on because they have like prior experience when it comes to, like hospitality business. For example, one of my investors is one of the co-founders of Atis. So is amazing, is always, we can discuss things like that are very like detail oriented when it comes to like the business and being like, hey, for example, I need to hire someone, like what would you say is like normally like the rate of, employment, and what have you seen in terms of best practice? I have also other investors that, are maybe a bit more like big picture. One of them is the former CFO of Joint to Juice. So it's great to have like this more like higher view of like financials and what good should look like in a couple of years, because we're very different in size. But I would say that the rest, they're just like very supportive, and they always love to check in from time to time. I always love to share like some sort of like investor newsletter saying, hey, this is what's happening in the business this month. So yeah, I think we have like an amazing relationship, and that's also something very important when you pick your investors and you're raising money for your business, like to really find people you get along with.
I agree. I think that's so important. It's so key. Was there a point, I mean, I know it's been 9 months now since it's been trading, but you've been working on the idea and the concept for a while now.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where you were like, I'm not sure if this is going to work? Did you have a moment of doubt?
Yeah, and I honestly had plenty of those. And I think it's normal. It's part of the process. But it's true that now looking back, I'm like, I found like some messages that I've sent like to, would it be like my family or like my fiance, where, I was saying, I want to stop everything. What am I even doing? And that was, I would say, specifically more during the investment process, because it's hard to get like a lot of no's, or like also like just being ghosted by people. Like you spend like so much time speaking to them and then they just like ghost you. That, even though it's nothing personal, you still end up like questioning yourself, and like also I have a tendency to overthink. So I would like really easily like end up like, questioning my life choices. Or same, when we were about to launch the first store and the construction works was taking so much time and there was like so much delay. and I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, there's no way back now. But yeah, there are plenty of moments of doubts. It's not always, like, I would say, easy to share those, especially when you're in the moment.
Yeah.
I would say that I have no problem like sharing those moments of doubt afterwards, but I also like to be a bit more like private about it when it happens.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of coping with it. But how did you, in those moments, what made you pull yourself back up and think, no, this is my dream, like I really want to do this? What helped you?
It's gonna sound very cliche. I don't know how terrible that is, but I love listening to things like motivational speeches from like Tony Robbins or like people like that. Yeah, I think like when I was like really, doubting myself, I would listen to a lot of like motivational like speeches, like reading a lot as well about like successful like entrepreneurs and being like, okay, it's only delusional until it works. So that's that was my way of like coping with it. But I would also have to say that I had like an amazing support system in place when it comes to family, friends, my fiancé as well. Everybody was super supportive. So again, that's a chance to have that.
I was also going to ask a very interesting but weird question, which is about ghosting, to be honest. What would you say is like the rate at which you were ghosted?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think people that you just like with whom you just have like a casual conversation would ghost more than like people where you have like extended like conversation. I would say that it's a minority when it comes to people where, I had like 2-3 calls and then never talk to you again. It's just a minority. But then people where you exchange like a couple of emails, like some of them were like no problem of like ghosting you. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So it would be more people for sure, like maybe 20-30%.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever ghost anyone again. I just think about it sometimes and I'm like, we've created this culture where like ghosting is okay.
Yeah, and it's really not.
Yeah.
No, just tell someone like, sorry, I can't support right now. It like takes 2 seconds.
I agree. And it's just like a way of also like, for me, I'm not going to chase you anymore. You know what I mean? Like I would hate if someone like keeps chasing me being like, hey, you mentioned you were interested. Like just say something, takes 2 seconds. And, out of courtesy is so much better. So.
Yeah, for sure. And you never know, like, down the line, because, it's a small place. Like, London is small. So
I agree.
You just never know when you'll run into this person or that kind of thing. And then you just feel awkward. And it's like, what's the point? Just reply.
So true. But we were talking about the smoothies, firstly. How amazing they look. So for those of you listening and not watching, this is, I would say, as we've heard so many times in the media, London's answer to the Erewhon smoothie. It is as beautiful as you can imagine. I've got a mango one, I believe.
Yeah, it's mango, pineapple, ginger, and turmeric.
Delicious. And Disha, what have you got?
I've got a strawberry one with dates and coconut milk. And
and whey and oats. So,
delicious.
Delicious.
I tried to memorize as many ingredients as I could, Julia.
Don't worry, I see you're getting there.
But a lot of smoothies are marketed as healthy, and we have realized that, of course, they aren't. I wanted to ask you how you came up with the idea or the concept of challenging the healthy, in air quotes, smoothies that exist.
So it really came from like a realization where I also had this misconception of like all smoothies are healthy because I know there are smoothies with fruits, so it should be, or when there is protein in there, it should be healthy because it's a protein shake. And it's when I actually looked online at the nutritional of like another brand in London that I saw there was like 72 grams of sugar in one protein shake. I was like, wait a minute, like there's less sugar in a nice butter croissant, so I rather have that than a protein shake thinking that it's going to be healthy. So it's more like doing like some sort of like research around that I actually discovered that most of like smoothies that are out there are not built around like function and like balance, I would say, of like the ingredients and the different like macros. So I really wanted to change that, but also bring transparency and not make it so difficult to find like how many calories is in one like smoothie, like how much protein you have, how much carbs. Like again, like having carbs or sugar from the fruits is totally fine. It's healthy. It's not an issue. But I think you should be aware if a big chain is adding like, I don't know, full scoop of date puree in your smoothie, making it like a caloric bomb. So that's really how, I got the idea, and I worked with like a nutritionist to create the recipes in a way that is balanced with like carbs, but also like fiber, protein, healthy fats. So everything is really like balanced. And the idea was to design each recipe with a specific benefit in mind. So for example, the one you have, the Golden Boost, has some turmeric, ginger, vitamin D, maca powder. So it's great for like immunity and antioxidants. And yours with the strawberries and cream is, more around like, because it's with vanilla protein, it's more around like muscle recovery. So yeah, everything has a specific function.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like it is such a big gap in the market that I guess a lot of people don't realize. But how do you educate your consumer about this? Because it's such an interesting selling point for you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the differentiation in store maybe comes from the fact that the team is super well trained when it comes to supplements and advising on like the different recipes. In the sense that we now have a lot of people coming and be like, oh yeah, I'm feeling a bit under the weather or hungover today. Like, what would you like recommend? So I think that there's a big part which is like really advised like based on your needs. Of course, we're not like doctors or anything, and smoothies are not like cure in any shape or form. But I think it's just like it can give you like a nice little boost like during your day, or also make it easier for you to be consistent with your supplement routine. For example, if you want to take collagen every day and you can't be bothered to mix it with your coffee in the morning, it's messy. It's a really, I think, good way to do so. And yeah, we really try to communicate to the customer, on the menu as well. You can see what are the different like benefits. But that's also something, that is not perfect yet, and that I think we could even like explore more and like do it even better. So that's also something, that in all transparency, I want to do more.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Also, because it's so important. But I think what's really interesting is that, like, you opened in the city, which obviously didn't have anything like this before. When you were looking at the location, like, did it feel risky at that time? Because I know you mentioned you were looking more west originally.
Yes. And originally I was looking at like Chelsea, Notting Hill, where, all the yummy mummies are and like the wellness girl is, because it felt right in the sense that there's already some sort of like wellness offering in some sort. So I thought, okay, that's the place to be, but I couldn't find anything that, were, I would say, to my standards when it comes to like the place and the location, and also in terms of budget, I had some constraint. Like, of course, you can be like on King's Road, but then it's gonna cost you, like $1 million a year in rent. So again, I don't have this type of money. So that was more of like, I would say, a fallback option. But my real estate agent really insisted in like showing me this location, and the Royal Exchange was like, yeah, you will see like the city has like really changed. They've invested a lot in like making the street pedestrian, so it feels really nice. So I went to see the place, and I was like, wait, that could actually be really good, because I saw the footfall and it was insane. So I went one morning with like a clicker like the bouncers have just to count like how many people were like passing by, and I really like lost track like so fast because there were so many people. That was like, okay, we are actually launching a concept that needs to like it's more like a proof of concept, let's say. And to make a proof of concept and get the data and refine the business, you need to get that footfall. And so that's why I was like, okay, let's try it. It was definitely risky, and I know some people questioned a bit like my choice, but yeah, it definitely paid off. So sometimes, I would say there's always like a silver lining to things.
I mean,
Yeah.
for sure, there is definitely a silver lining to
Yeah.
this one. I can
Yeah.
imagine it very different to the Yummy Mummy crowd, but definitely a crowd that's fascinating.
Yeah, and definitely needs it more, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we have customers coming like, every day or even like twice a day because they, people working. And that's also the crowd that I know because I used to be that person working in finance where you need to perform, you need to feel good, you care about like yourself and your body is like really this machine that really like carries you. And they have a high disposable income. So for them, it's really part of like their lifestyle. And so I'm glad that, we found our audience.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously now expanding to the West, to
Yes.
Selfridges. Tell us
Yes.
about it.
Well, I mean, that's definitely like a huge milestone for us, especially that it's been in the works since even we opened the first location.
Wow.
Someone that was actually very kind to just like, and again, like sometimes I love meeting people randomly being kind and nice to you. So I was introduced to them by someone that had a shop in the food hall, and it was like, oh yeah, you should definitely speak with them, and like it would be, I think they would love the concept. So that was back in October 24.
Wow.
So a while ago. So I met with them, and yeah, since then we've been in touch. And when Elevate opened, we kept the conversation going, and I think that's again like something really important to nurture, like those relationships when it comes to business and not ghosting people.
Yeah.
Where it was just like it felt like the right fit, especially with them expanding in their wellness offerings. So and I think Elevate is needed in the West. So
Yeah, for sure. Any new flavors launching for Selfridges?
yes, so we're gonna have a Selfridges exclusive smoothie, which is gonna have yuzu. So a nice yellow and black smoothie.
Ooh.
Sounds delicious.
Very on brand as well for them and you guys too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fun way to work.
Well, before you go, I can't believe how time's flown.
Yes.
We have 3 quick fire beauty questions we ask all our guests. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
So what's one beauty rule you love breaking?
So I don't think I love breaking it. It's just I'm too lazy to do it. And I don't, tell me if I'm the only one here. But I don't wash my makeup brushes weekly. Who does that? Like, I keep hearing... I keep hearing that you need to wash your brushes like weekly to get like because otherwise you can get like pimples and everything, and I don't do that.
I think we'll send you a set, Julia.
Yeah, we will.
Do you?
If you could give your younger self one piece of beauty advice, what would it be?
Apply SPF every day on your face, even during winter, and don't forget your neck.
I like that one.
Because you don't want to end up with like a nice face without wrinkle, and then your neck is like really,
Yeah.
That is honestly something I've been thinking about lately. I was like, those LED masks for the neck?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, maybe that's the next thing that we got to do. Because I was like, the neck, because everyone's always, but what about all of the neck and the...
Décolleté,
Yeah, exactly. So what's a beauty moment, good or bad, that you'll never forget?
Do you mean in like a personal one?
Yeah.
Or I would say recently, and it's a bad one. I mean, it's not so bad. So I was actually recording a podcast as well. It was last year in September, and I was making the smoothies to go to the podcast, and I was wearing all white, and what needed to happen. I got like the blueberry smoothie like splashed on me, so I was like completely kind of like stained. I also had some on my face, and then I was late to the podcast because I needed to buy something, and like I was sweaty and everything was wrong. But then it turned out not so bad on the podcast that was filmed as well. So that's why I laughed when you guys told me, don't forget it's filmed. I was like, okay, I won't do any smoothies before.
I'm wearing white today as well.
Yeah.
Because I was not doing the smoothies.
I love that. Well, Julia, thank you so much. This has been such an informative chat. For anyone who doesn't understand finance like me or how to build a business, guys from that perspective.
Yeah, for anyone listening, it's interesting how much of this comes down to figuring things out as you go, not ghosting people, and not having everything ready kind of from the go. It's all about the building blocks.
For sure.
I agree. Such a great conclusion. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap.